Here we are in our 40s and 50s and maybe 60s. There's plenty of time to really enjoy what's in front of us. And they also think that we have the hard earned wisdom that we may not have had in our 20s or 30s. And so being able to use that life perspective and couple that with what's ahead of us can really bring something that's pretty magical.
Welcome to the Midlife Reinvention Podcast. I'm your host, Kavita, and the founder of Power Purpose Play, a global community of women in midlife. I'm here to tell you that it's your time now to rediscover what has always been inside of you and bring that out into the world. If you're wondering what's next, but don't know quite what that is, or if you feel a twinge in your heart telling you that you have so much more to do and so much more to offer, you're in the right place. Ask yourself, if not now, when? Do you want to leave your job, start your own business, take control of your health, reignite the passion in your marriage, write that book, or at least that first chapter? Transitions like this can be daunting, but through listening to my story and interviews with incredible women every week, I hope to inspire you to take action. I rediscovered myself after the age of 50, and I know you can too. It's my time now to help you do just that. I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive in. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Midlife Reinvention Podcast. I'm excited this week as I feel the excitement in the air of spring and summer approaching with finally some warmth. Many of you may know that I live in Toronto, Canada, and it has been pretty cold so far this year, so we are looking forward to some warmth finally. I'm also looking forward to spending some quality time with my best girlfriends as we take a mini trip, which has been overdue for 2 years. What are your plans for the spring and summer? I hope they include some travel and some play. It is so important, in fact, that I put play in Power Purpose Play. Think about it. What are you going to do to have some fun in the next few months? Before we get to our guest for today, I wanted to remind you of my goal with Power Purpose Play, and that is to empower 1 million women worldwide in midlife to live their next stage of life to the fullest. To help fulfill this goal, we are offering the online learning option of our course, It's My Time Now, at no charge to you. This is a curated journey which I have created, consisting of 7 modules and 26 lessons of exercises, tools, templates, and videos. This course is available online to work at on your own pace, completely free of charge for you. If you're interested in taking advantage of this incredible opportunity, email me today and tell me why you're interested in receiving this information. You can email me at kavita@powerpurposeplay.ca. We will then forward you the login information. There really is no catch to this offer, my friend. It is available to you, should you so desire, so you can begin your own journey of reinvention. Remember, email me directly at kavita@powerpurposeplay.ca, and I can help you get started today. Share this with even one friend so we can reach our goal of illuminating 1 million lives worldwide. I'm sure you'll enjoy this week's episode of the podcast as I interview Mimi Bishop, whose focus is everything Generation X women. Enjoy the episode, and I'll be back with the key takeaways. Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of the Midlife Reinvention Podcast. I hope this day finds you well and you are stepping into your inner power and purpose. If you're new to the podcast, I'm your host, Kavita Ahuja, and the founder of Power Purpose Play. We are a global community of women in midlife who are saying with confidence, it's my time now. To that end, I interview incredible women who will serve as inspiration for you and who will give you examples of how to face the obstacles in your way and take that first step towards reinvention. Today, I have the great pleasure of having on our show Mimi Bishop. Mimi is the co-founder of Modern GenX Women, a company built by GenX Women for GenX Women. Their mission is to make Generation X women the wealthiest female generation by way of business and career coaching. Mimi co-hosts the podcast Modern GenX Women. She has been featured on Today with Hoda and Jenna, a business insider, entrepreneur, and is a VIP expert at Fairy God Boss. Mimi is a certified life coach and energy leadership index master practitioner who trained at IPEC, just like I did. She lives in New York with her husband, 2 fur babies, and is a professional auntie to 16 nieces and nephews. Wonderful to have you on this show, Mimi. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here today.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
We have a lot in common, so I can't wait to
we have a lot to dig into.
Yes, we
absolutely.
do. Yes, we do. So before, just before we get into some of the other stuff, as I said, we have a similar path, and both of us left corporate careers behind because we wanted to make an impact, and our missions are similar in terms of empowering women in midlife or Gen X women to really pursue their passions. So if you could tell us a little bit about what made you decide to leave your corporate career, and also how you got to deciding on doing what you're doing today.
Yeah. So I love to share this story because there are lots of twists and turns. So I had a 25-year corporate career. I worked for a division of News Corp, and I was in marketing. And I was a typical Gen Xer. We were told we can do everything, you can have it all. And I really jumped in with both feet and wanted a very big career from an early age, and was very all into my career and working a lot. And then I had the experience of losing my younger sister. She passed away suddenly, and it was really
I'm sorry about that.
Oh, Thank you. It was a real wake-up call. And as a response to that, I just worked even harder and would work till 10 o'clock at night. You can imagine what it was like. And almost 10 years to the month, my brother passed away suddenly.
Oh my goodness.
And it was, of course, a heartbreaking situation. But it was also a real eye-opener that I knew I did not want to continue going this way. I really recognized that life was way too short. And along the way, I was starting to also get these nagging feelings that I don't think that I want that C-level position anyway, but I was ignoring that feeling. And when I had that second wake-up call, it really stopped me in my tracks. So it was really a period of self-discovery for me. And I remember thinking, I'm not going to have any goals. I'm just going to explore and see what lights me up. And I remember doing a lot of cooking and baking, and I had a food blog for a while. And that just led me into this realization that there was a lot more than just corporate America. I started to understand what coaching was about. I started to learn what building an online business was about. And I started to really see the possibility that was there. And I set my sights on doing that. So over a period of time, I started that journey. I became a coach. I started a business on the side. And then when the opportunity presented itself, I took the leap.
Wow. So much there.
Yeah, so much there.
It's so interesting because it really reminds me a lot of my journey as well. And I think so many other women in our generation, because what happens is, as you said, we are in these careers that we kind of fallen into, or it's just kind of expected of us, and we just do it, and we don't even really think, right?
That's
about do we really enjoy this, or we do at the time, and it's really exciting, and then usually what happens is a trigger happens, and in our case, it's your death of your sister and your brother. So, and those wake you up, and it's like, oh my God, is this what I really want to do for the rest of my life? And it's just a common thing. And these are the transitions that we face in life. And my goal is really for women to realize that you can listen to that voice that you said that you heard, that I heard, even before, and listen to the voice and heed it even before these triggers happen.
That's right.
Right.
Yes. So, and they don't have to be as significant as mine were. Right. So,
well, there could be different degrees of the triggers, but there are definitely triggers. So you go ahead, you're saying.
Yeah. No, I was, mine were really kind of triggers where it was like really life and death. It doesn't have to be that dramatic. It could just be that you wake up one day and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yes.
And that's okay. That's okay. One of the reasons why we specifically work with Generation X women is because we really want to help the women that wake up that way one morning, or they have felt it all along. But we really feel so strongly that it is never too late to start doing something different.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to really lend a hand to women who are in this period of transition. Like you said, I know that you do so much of this work yourself.
Yes. And that's actually the next question I had is why have you decided to focus on GenX women and why are we so special? And you kind of answered it, but I truly believe that as well. And that I'll let you answer, but I'll give you my perspective in that we are in this amazing opportunity, I think, that we have the next stage of our life to live and so much ahead of us. But
yes.
why have you decided to focus on?
Just to add on that, I agree with you. I think that we have so much ahead of us,
Mm-hmm.
and that should not be minimized at all. I believe, maybe I'm an optimist, but I would like to believe that when I'm 90, there'll still be challenges or possibilities in front of me that I can jump on.
Mm-hmm.
But here we are in our 40s and 50s and maybe 60s. There's plenty of time to really enjoy what's in front of us. And they also think that we have the hard-earned wisdom
Mm-hmm.
that we may not have had in our 20s or 30s. And so being able to use that life perspective and couple that with what's ahead of us can really bring something that's pretty magical. I also think there's something special about Generation X women. We have been hidden for a long time. We've been called the forgotten generation, squeezed in between the boomers and the millennials. But we also have been the generation to bridge the divide between the two groups. Also, we have such a collective experience, and there's also some collective traits that we share. And also, at the same time, there's some collective struggles that we also have. So an example of that could be we have had a lot of turmoil in our professional life in terms of the economy. A lot of us started when we were in a pretty major recession, and then we saw things like the dot-com bubble and burst and 9/11 and then the 2008 meltdown and then the pandemic. There's been lots of this.
Mm-hmm.
So for Generation X women, that's something we are facing. There's a commonality that we face if finances are sometimes a challenge for us. A lot of us are dealing with aging parents. And so that's an extra layer that we're dealing with. And so that's why we wanted to really focus on Generation X women, because not only do we believe in the things that make us special and stand out, we also, as Generation X women ourselves, know what we're dealing with.
Right now,
the challenges. I'm right now taking care of my mom and dad. A lot of women are in the same boat. And so it's like, well, how can I have all this amazing stuff and still have to deal with some of these other things that are challenges right now?
Mm-hmm. Great point. I never really thought about those different stages in our life, like the .com and all those. And that's interesting. And I never thought of it that way. I often think of what we've faced as we are in this midlife stage, and that it's our health changes, right? Through menopause.
That's right.
It's our kids leaving, right? It's our so we become empty nesters, and then, as you said, we're also become caregivers of our parents, and so there's all these things, and then we're deciding what do we want to do with our career moving forward. So it's all these different storms of things that happen all at once, and it's
all at once.
God, what do I do?
It is. Sometimes my business partner Jackie and I sometimes were like, "Can you believe this? Like, this is just crazy." Between her taking care of her mom, me taking care of my dad, things going on with her kids, like it's just.
But we do
crazy.
It well. We do it well.
We do it well. Well, I really believe that we are gifted. Like I think. Well, women in general are really good at kind of juggling a lot of balls at once. But I think I have a special soft spot for Gen X women. So I think we do it especially well.
Oh, we do. So maybe in terms of your career, your coaching, you focus on career coaching for Gen X women. And often in my podcast here, we talk about things that hold people back, women back from doing the thing they want to do. And specifically when it comes to careers or entrepreneurship, for example, you coined something called the worth deficit. So if you could please describe what that is and why does it hold women back from doing the thing?
I love talking about this. So the worth deficit is where we don't really own our worth or speak our value. And I'm not saying that we don't, as women, think that we're worthy, but a lot of times it shows up professionally where maybe our self-worth is a little bit lower.
Right.
So we dig into something called the worth origin, and we really look for, well, where does this come from? That something, and it may have been something you were told while you were young. Maybe someone told you that you spoke out of turn at a meeting professionally, and it's something that sticks with us. And so it lowers our worth, and we have a hard time really talking about the amazing things that we do. And so that creates what we call worth deficit. And the way that shows up is that we second guess ourselves. We maybe feel we're an imposter. For the entrepreneurs, it's a real struggle for them to talk about what they do. They get tongue-tied, or they're afraid to ask for the money. For career professionals, maybe they don't want to raise their hand and ask for the promotion or negotiate their salary. So what we do is we really close that gap. We close that gap for women so that they own their worth, confidently own their worth, and they can stand tall in their conviction to be able to talk about what they do with clarity and confidence.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is so important, because you're so right. All these things, the second guessing, the imposter syndrome that comes up, and it stops us in our tracks from actually asking for the thing, or realizing that this, I'm worth it, I can do it. And all these societal expectations, or these societal things that have been put on us, in addition to our history, maybe that we were told as a child,
exactly,
you're a woman, you can't do this or that, right? So
that's right.
That's a really great way to approach it. So why, when it comes to the money conversation, for example, you mentioned that, and self-worth and asking for a raise or just creating your own wealth, why do Gen X women have such a block? I know you kind of mentioned it, but do you see a pattern?
Sometimes, yes. So we see for a lot of millennials, they have really been pushed by or raised in a way where they're really able to advocate for themselves. And I find that very refreshing, to tell you the truth. Like, it's something that I believe that we can learn from one another collectively as groups, like all groups can learn from one another.
For sure.
I think that's something that we can really learn from the millennials. I think, generally speaking, that Generation X women were not necessarily raised in the same way. We were told not to share your salary. Money is a taboo topic. There could be a lot of shame around money in the way that we grew up. Again, there were recessions, or the 80s, there was a lot of money and then it kind of dropped, right? Like where there were recessions. So some people may have grown up with a lot of shame around money, having it and then not, or there were lots of divorces. So maybe you grew up where your family did really well and then your parents separated and you didn't. And so it was a struggle. So all these kinds of things come into play.
Yeah, as you were talking, it came to me, millennial generation, there just seems to be so much confidence, right?
Yes.
And so much in themselves, and they have no hesitation to ask for what they want.
That's right.
So, and I feel that confidence piece from my experience, that's lacking, or it's hidden. So it's something that we as women really need to step into, our confidence.
That's right. And confidence is a muscle, right? So, and you know this as being a trained IPEC coach too, like confidence is a muscle that we can build over time. We often talk about like the chicken and the egg of confidence. Like, what comes first? You have to do it to get confident, or you have to, and I know even just from building a business, you've got to just go out there and do it. And that's where the confidence comes from.
Yes. Let's just take the baby steps and don't think about too much ahead, like too many steps ahead.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
Yeah. Excellent. So maybe you actually, I stated your mission of your company before, but it's to make Gen X women the wealthiest female generation. And that's an amazing mission. Yeah. I love it. So how do you do that? I mean, I think you have a formula called the resting mind formula. So tell us a little bit about that.
So we do. So first, let me tell you why that's our mission. So we feel that when women have wealth, we have the authority to really revolutionize the way business is done. And if the pandemic really taught us anything, it's that business, the way it's happening, really isn't working for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to look at this differently. And we feel that Generation X women should lead the way because we're just kind of revolutionaries, right? And I think we lost a little bit about that as we grew older. When we were younger, I felt like we were pretty edgy. So that is where our mission stems from. We do it by way of business and career coaching. And we also have a group program called Worth, Value, Wealth. But under all of our coaching, we do have this formula called the Resting Mind formula. And you will appreciate this because a lot of it is based in energy leadership. So
yeah.
What we do is we take awareness and we couple that with brain science and energy leadership. And then we multiply it with habits to make those things stick. So it's kind of a combination of being aware of your surroundings and what's going on, using neuroscience to change the way we're thinking about things, which raises the energy. Mm-hmm. And then we have our clients multiply that by the habits that they bring to their day-to-day.
Hi, my friend. Kavita here. Do you often feel blocked from moving forward? We all feel that way at times. These are referred to as energy blocks. I've created a short, actionable PDF guide to help you release your negative energy blocks. Click the link in the description to download it now for free. Now, let's get back to the episode. So, like, what kind of habits are you referring to? Is it kind of like, do you encourage your clients, for example, to do daily morning routines or things like that, like meditation or journaling, or is there some particular habits that you encourage or in order to?
Yes, all of that, all of the things that you know about, like, right, like meditation and exercise and a healthy lifestyle, that of course is going to really support you getting to your goal. It's all like so holistic. However, also when we are working, let's use business building as an example, maybe one of your habits is to get out there on Facebook every single day and engage with potential clients, right? And so that could be a habit that is specific to reaching that goal of building a business.
And do you work with women who are entrepreneurs, or do you also work with corporate women? Both.
So we have two arms of our business. We work with women who are entrepreneurs or women who want to up level in their career, or sometimes it's a combination of both, right? Like we were at one point, we were in corporate and we were still wanting to do a great job, but at the same time, we wanted to start making those moves out of corporate.
Right.
So some of our clients are in that position as well.
I see. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So on that note, like if a woman is like you and me did, we were in corporate, as you said, and realized that maybe this isn't for us and decided that we wanted to go into the corporate or entrepreneurship world with all the difficulties that it seems very romantic to do it, but when you actually are in it,
it's tough.
It's tough because you had the support structure when you're in corporate, and now all of a sudden you're doing everything yourself. So what would be your advice to women who are contemplating a shift to entrepreneurship, but maybe are scared or don't really know, lack the confidence, don't really know how to start? What would be your advice to them?
That's a great question. I have a couple of pieces of advice. One is the thing I wish I would have done myself. So just a little background, I can be very shy and an introvert. People are always surprised by that, but it's really true. And I really wished I had started networking a lot earlier. And I wished I understood what networking was, because I thought it was this thing that had to kind of be a little bit slimy and you had to go out to a cocktail party and talk to people that you would never talk to again. And it's not that. It's about reaching out to people and building genuine relationships, very much like you and I did, right? We met on LinkedIn and we had we're chatting, then we had a conversation, and then it's a friendly conversation where we're mutually supporting one another. That's what networking is. And so I would really encourage anyone that is thinking about leaving to start to build your network in this very genuine, what we call human first approach. So that is, start doing that right away, because you will really need to lean on those people to support one another mutually, right?
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many wonderful friends I've made at this stage in my life because I've become an entrepreneur. So that's a big piece of it. The other piece is if you are not clear on what you want to do, a lot of women are like, well, I don't know what I want to do, but I know it's not this. I would recommend working with a coach like yourself. I mean, I know that you work with women to really help them explore, like invest in a coach that will help you figure that out. And
Mm-hmm.
hiring someone like you is the perfect example to really get to that goal so much faster because you're trained to help to provide that kind of clarity.
Identify what it is that you really want.
Yeah, because we can get too close to it. So but on your own, also be open to the things that just get you excited. Don't look for the gods of passion to kind of like come from the sky and be like, this is your passion, but look for the things that light you up and kind of get you excited because those will give you clues.
Mm-hmm.
For women who are clear on what they want, take it slow, do one thing at a time, and just don't bite off more than you can chew,
mm-hmm.
especially if you are still in that corporate environment, but do
mm-hmm.
one thing at a time, do it really well, and make sure you're getting out in front of the people that you need to get in front of. It's very easy to hide behind the things that feel comfortable and make you feel like you're making progress. Often it's the things like doing Facebook Lives or doing free talks to people or getting on podcasts that may feel very uncomfortable for people, especially in the beginning. Yeah. Those are the things that you need to do because those are the things that will move the needle.
Those are great tips.
Yeah.
Really great tips.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
That. No, they're great because I want to just kind of go back to a couple of things you mentioned. And I totally agree with it. For example, in networking that you said. And I think that if you have that mindset of when you're networking and meeting people, if it's about mutual support and helping one another.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Rather than, oh, it's just for me. I'm just going, I'm doing this so I can sell myself or whatever. That's not going to work. If you're just focused on the outcome or the manifestation of whatever, the sale or whatever, that's not going to happen. But it's about mutual support. And I think women especially do that very well.
Yes.
I think we're very supportive of one another. And I also believe that it's important to have that community around you of people who are going through similar things that you are. So that's one of the things. And then the thing about the excitement, tapping into what makes you excited. And that's it. Passions, or even if we have an exercise, daily activities, what are the red or green activities? Do they make you happy, or they make you cringe, right? Do more of the things that make you happy. Yeah. Because it's just normal. Like if you do more of those things, then you'll slowly start to discover what it is that you can incorporate slowly into your current situation. So
that's exactly it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I like that as well about talking to your audience. And the more you talk about what you do, the more it crystallizes in your brain.
It does.
You can speak about it with more clarity.
Yes.
And somehow that energy, as we, it becomes more and more anabolic, I guess.
Yes, anabolic. That's exactly speaking my language.
I was going to say, what's the word? Anabolic.
I love it.
Which means positive. Yes.
Means positive. Exactly. And in the beginning, also it will feel awkward. I remember I had this big title for so long, Vice President of Marketing. You would tell people that, and they would be like, "Oh, they were kind of impressed." And then when I left, I was like, "Well, I'm a coach," and I felt so insecure in the beginning because I was new. Like I would stumble, and so you really need to be mindful and aware of the energy that you want to tap into, even if it's not natural in the beginning, right? So just kind of moving up that scale of energy into that anabolic place, this positive energy place, even if you're not necessarily 100% aligned with it, the more you practice being aligned with it, it will become natural. And then eventually, like one day you wake up and you're like, hey, I'm a coach. Like, I can do this for you.
Naturally, it's just say, what do you do? Oh, I'm a coach. Yeah. Yeah. And this is who I serve. Yeah.
That's right.
Something that just triggered in my head when you were talking about this is, would that be the hardest thing you've done? Do you think leaving your corporate world job to entrepreneurship, or what is the hardest thing that you've ever done?
Well, the hardest thing I've ever done, I've got to be honest, is bouncing back after the death of my siblings. I mean, that was tough. Like that was tough. It was the hardest thing. But it was also, and this may sound very crazy, it was also, there were a lot of gifts in that because I created gifts from it. It was a hard time.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I remember in the beginning, if anyone's listening to this and going through like just something devastating like that, there were times in the beginning that were exceptionally hard. However, I remember thinking to myself, and this is what got me through in the very beginning, was like, I owe it to them because they both passed away so suddenly and so young, and separate health incidences were just a crazy thing. I remember thinking, I owe it to them to live the best life I can because they can't. And that's what kept me going in the beginning because it was hard. I wanted it's difficult. So that was, if I have to look back on my life, it's honestly one of my proudest achievements that I took those situations and I really made gold out of them. Now, with that said, that's separate. Let me tell you, becoming an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart. It is hard. It's hard.
Yes, I concur.
And you said earlier, it looks like this glamorous. Yeah, it does look that way.
Romantic,
but it is hard. It is hard work, and it's entirely possible to live the dream, but it is not something like you quit your corporate job and in 6 months you're making the same money.
Right.
Like it's a long journey. Is it possible? Yes. It's hard though. You need to be committed to it. I always say it's the biggest self-development. It is the biggest self-development course I've ever taken. It's hard.
Yeah. And I think what you had said earlier really resonated is that you really have to know what you want to do. And if you really have that passion and that mission that drives you every day, then there's no doubt that your business will succeed. It may take a little longer, but there's no doubt if you have that conviction,
there's no doubt.
and that mission in your heart that and you want to make change. So and I appreciate telling me the story about when your brother and sister died, because as we said earlier, those things, those triggers that happen in our lives can make us move forward or they can stop us.
Yes.
So I think your and my goal is to encourage women to have those things push you forward, and make your next stage even better than
better. Exactly. Yeah. And it's not to say like if you're going through a divorce or an illness or you've lost someone or whatever, you've lost your job or whatever it is, it's not to say that this is not heartbreaking, right? Or like difficult. And take your time to process all of it. You have to, but it doesn't mean that life is over or life is going to be terrible from now on. You have the choice to make it different. And I think that's as coaches, that's what really attracted me to coaching, right? That like coaching is all about moving forward.
Right.
And it's up to us to decide. Crummy things are going to happen because that's life.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it is what it is.
What can you learn from those crummy things and make the crumbs into, I don't know, a cake?
Yeah, like a cake. Exactly. Exactly. I love it. I love that analogy. It's got a chocolate cake.
Yeah.
A really good chocolate cake. Yes.
With a glass of wine. No, just kidding.
Yes. Oh, I'm all for that. Yeah. Come on.
So this is great. So maybe what's next for you? What do you have going on and where can people find you and your partner? And,
So thank you for asking. So we are over at moderngenxwomen.com. People can find us there. We have a manifesto that you can download.
I saw that. That's
awesome.
That.
And it's just a lot of fun. It's all about kind of like the way we believe the modern Gen X woman should live. So you can head on over to our website, moderngenxwomen.com, or go to moderngenxwomen.com/manifesto and get the manifesto.
Okay.
And we also have a podcast called Modern Gen X Women and a Facebook group. So we love to engage with women over there and talk to them about all things Gen X.
Right.
And give support where we can.
Well, that's fantastic. And I'm so happy to have this conversation because, as I said before, we have similar missions and collectively we can all make a difference.
Absolutely.
And just encourage women to just take that step and go for it. And whether it's in business or in life in general, let's just do it because we're awesome.
We are awesome. We talk, Jackie, my business partner, and I also talk all the time about discovering our awesome X factor. Right. And that's something really like just something amazing about you and then going out there and talking about it. It's a great way to really own your worth.
100%. So I encourage everyone who's interested to reach out to Mimi and check out her podcast, and we'll have all the links in our show notes so you can take a look at that. And it was such a pleasure to have you on this show today. And
Thank you.
A lot of great pearls, and I'm sure anyone listening is going to learn a lot. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's been really a privilege to be here today.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
What a great conversation with the lovely Mimi Bishop. Our joint goal to empower Generation X women, as I hope, has motivated you to take some of our tips and build them into your own lives. Here are her key takeaways. Number 1, triggers can be subtle or significant. It could just be that you wake up one day and say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. And that's okay. It's never too late to start doing something different. Number 2, there's plenty of time to enjoy what's in front of us, and we have the hard-earned wisdom that we may not have had in our 20s or 30s. If we use that life perspective and couple that with what's ahead of us, it can be magical. Number 3, Gen X women have been hidden for a long time, but also have the generation to bridge that divide between the boomers and the millennials. 4, there are some collective traits that we share and some collective struggles. For example, we had a lot of professional turmoil in the economy with the recession, dot-com, 9/11, the 2008 meltdown, pandemic, along with dealing with our children and our aging parents. 5, we often suffer from what's called the worth deficit, where we don't really own our worth or speak our value. We second guess ourselves, we feel we are imposters, we may not be able to express what we do, or we're afraid to ask for the money. We don't ask for the promotion or negotiate our salary. 6, we must ask ourselves, what is the worth origin? Where does this come from? Number 7, when women have wealth, we have the authority to revolutionize how business is done. Generation X women should lead the way because we are revolutionaries. And number 8, the advice given to women if you're contemplating a shift to entrepreneurship. Number 1, to network. It's about reaching out to people and making genuine relationships. Networking is a genuine human-first approach. 2, if you're not clear on what you want to do, work with a coach to help you figure that out. Number 3, be open to the things that really get you excited, that will give you your clues to what to do next. 4, take it slow, do one thing at a time, and do it well. And 5, make sure you're getting out in front of people you need to get out in front of. Thank you so much for listening, and if you enjoy our podcast, even sharing it with one woman will help us get to the goal of empowering 1 million women worldwide, one strong woman at a time. Remember, if you're interested in learning more about how to rediscover yourself in midlife, take our complimentary and comprehensive course, It's My Time Now. Email me today at kavita@powerpurposeplay.ca, and let's get you started on your own road to reinvention. In love and in light, my friends, take care, and I'll see you next week.